Hey, Olive, Arlo, and Frank. It's Grandpa coming to you from the living room in Jacksonville Beach. And today we're in a very, very interesting chapter in the book of Leviticus. It's chapter 11, and it is what we now call kosher law. But kosher today is a little bit different than this, but this is what kosher law was based on as it evolved. Chapter 11 says, "The Lord spoke to Moses and Aaron, saying to them, Tell the Israelites, this is the kind of creature you may eat from among all the animals that are on the land." Now, if you remember, when we were in the book of Genesis, when they got off the ark, Noah and his family, they were told by God, be fruitful and multiply. All the animals are going to be afraid of you. You rule over them, and you can eat them all. Now, before that, when they were in the Garden of Eden, before the fall, they could only eat vegetables. They could eat from all the trees and the plants and stuff like that. Now he's saying in Genesis, you can eat everything. But that was for Gentiles. This is for the children of Israel. You may eat any among the animals that has a divided hoof. The hooves are completely split in two. So we're talking about animals like a cow that have a hoof. It's easy for me to say a hoof, and they have to be split. The hooves are completely split in two, and that also chews the cud. So this animal has to have cloven hooves. Cloven means split in two. And it has to chew the cud. Let's take a cow. Cows eat grass, goes into one of their stomachs. They have two stomachs. Then it comes back up into their mouth, and they chew it again. It goes down into their second stomach. That's the kind of animal you can eat. It has to chew the cud and have split hooves. However, you must not eat these from among those that chew the cud. Wait a minute. Oh, okay. However, you must not eat these from among those who chew the cud and have divided hooves. So we're going to talk about animals that do this, but you're not allowed. The camel, I don't think I'd want to eat camel. The camel is unclean to you because it chews the cud, even though its hoof is not divided. I never looked at a camel hoof, but the rock badger. So that's the hyrax is what this animal is called. That's what they think anyway. The rock badger is unclean to you because it chews the cud, even though its hoof is not divided. The hare is unclean to you because it chews the cud, even though its hoof is not divided. So you're not allowed to eat bunnies. The pig is unclean to you because its hoof is divided. The hoof is completely split in two, even though it does not chew the cud. You must not eat from their meat, and you must not touch their carcasses. They are unclean to you. So now we're going to look at some creatures that live in the water. These you can eat from all creatures that are in the water. Any creatures in the water that have both fins and scales. Whether in the seas or in the streams, you may eat. But any creatures that do not have both fins and scales, whether in the seas or in the streams, from all the swarming things of the water and from all the living creatures that are in the water, are detestable to you. So it's not just that don't eat it. Like, they're detestable. You detest them. You hate them. It's a shame. I love shrimp. And I love oysters. But can't eat them. Have to have fins and scales. Since they are detestable to you, you must not eat their meat and their carcass. You must detest. Any creature in the water that does not have both fins and scales is detestable to you. So now let's look at birds. I've had Jewish chicken noodle soup and matzo ball soup, which is a chicken-based soup. I have a feeling chickens make the cut here. These you are to detest from among the birds. They must not be eaten because they are detestable. The griffin vulture, the bearded vulture, the black vulture, the kite, the buzzard of any kind, every kind of crow, the eagle owl, the short-eared owl, the long-eared owl, the hawk of any kind, the little owl, the cormorant, the screech owl, the white owl, the scops owl, the osprey. They have osprey around here. The stork, the heron of any kind. They have heron around here too. The hoopoe and the bat. Now, we're going to look at insects that you can eat and that you can't eat. Every winged swarming thing that walks on all fours is detestable to you. However, this you may eat from all the winged swarming things that walk on all fours, which have jointed legs to hop with on the land. These you may eat from them. The locust of any kind, and John the Baptist ate locust and wild honey. The bald locust of any kind, the cricket of any kind, the grasshopper of any kind, but any other winged swarming thing that has four legs is detestable to you. So let's look at when animals die, what happens. By these you defile yourselves. Anyone who touches their carcasses will be unclean until the evening. And anyone who carries their carcass must wash his clothes and will be unclean until the evening. So you're unclean till the evening. You can't touch anybody. You can't, you just have to be by yourself. But only until the evening, till dinner time. So here's some inedible land quadrupeds, which means 4 legs, or 4 feet rather. All animals that divide the hoof, but it is not completely split in two, and do not chew the cud, are unclean to you. Anyone who touches them becomes unclean. All that walk on their paws, among all the creatures that walk on all fours, are unclean to you. So Duncan and Rue, you're safe. And Chuchi and Olive, I forget which cat you still have left. One of them just died. All that walk on their paws, among all the creatures that walk on all fours, are unclean to you. Anyone who touches their carcass will be unclean until the evening. And the one who carries their carcass must wash his clothes and be unclean until the evening. They are unclean to you. So let's talk about creatures that swarm on the land. Now this is what is unclean to you among the swarming things that swarm on the land. The rat, the mouse. I'm glad your grandmother isn't here. She hates mice and rats. And not that anybody loves them, but she has a special hatred for them. I don't think it would be too hard for your grandmother to agree not to eat a rat or a mouse. The large lizard of any kind, the Mediterranean gecko, the spotted lizard, the wall gecko, the skink, and the chameleon. And we have geckos here in Florida. There's a bunch of them here, but down in Miami, they were just everywhere. These are the ones that are unclean to you among all the swarming things. Anyone who touches them when they die will be unclean until evening. Also, anything they fall on when they die will become unclean. Any wood vessel or garment or article of leather or sackcloth. Any such vessel with which work is done must be immersed in water and will be unclean until the evening. Then it will become clean. As for any clay vessel they fall into, everything in it will become unclean, and you must break it. Any food that may be eaten which becomes soaked with water will become unclean. Anything drinkable in any such vessel will become unclean. Anything their carcass may fall on will become unclean. An oven or small stove must be smashed to pieces. They are unclean. So the oven that they're talking about is another terracotta thing. It's not like the oven that's in your kitchen. Sorry about that. However, a spring or a cistern which collects water will be clean, but one who touches their carcass will be unclean. So if it falls into a spring, a body of water that has that's natural water, and it has it's bubbling up from a source. It's not just still water sitting there in a puddle. Or if it's in a spring or a river or something like that, it doesn't turn the river unclean or anything if they fall into the river. And this stuff all makes sense. Like, not to us, but you had a couple million people wandering through the desert, and they're out there making food. You want it to be healthy food. You don't want like all these plagues to be going through the neighborhood, so to speak. Let's see. Now, if such a carcass falls on any sowing seed which is to be sown, it is clean. But if water is put on the seed and such a carcass falls on it, it is unclean to you. And it doesn't say that it becomes clean later. So if this gecko or whatever falls into your seed bag, you're okay. But if the seed is on the ground and they fall on it, then you have to destroy that seed. Can't grow something from it. So here's edible land quadrupeds, and if you remember, quadruped means 4 feet. Now, if an animal that you may eat dies, so this has to be an animal that's permitted to be eaten. Whoever touches its carcass will be unclean until the evening. One who eats from its carcass must wash his clothes and be unclean until the evening. And whoever carries its carcass must wash his clothes and be unclean until the evening. Every swarming thing that swarms on the land is detestable. It must not be eaten. Hallelujah. You must not eat anything that crawls on its belly, or anything that walks on all fours, or on any number of legs of all the swarming things that swarm on the land, because they are detestable. Do not make yourselves detestable by any of the swarming things. So like caterpillars or flies, like all kinds of stuff, snakes. You must not defile yourselves by them and become unclean by them. For I am the Lord your God, and you are to sanctify yourselves and be holy, because I am holy. You must not defile yourselves by any of the swarming things that creep on the ground. For I am the Lord who brought you up from the land of Egypt to be your God. And you are to be holy, because I am holy. And holy means set aside. This is the law of the land animals, the birds, all the living creatures that move in the water, and all the creatures that swarm on the land, to distinguish between the unclean and the clean, between the living creatures that may be eaten and the living creatures that must not be eaten. So I'm pretty thankful that I could eat shrimp and oysters, and I'm not eating locusts and honey or anything like that. Just a habit. Peace out. Maybe I will. Probably not.